Excitement come January 1st isn't enough to actually make sustainable change over a long period of time. Here's the thing. Most people shouldn't set New Year's resolutions. In this video, I'm going to tell you why. Whether it's getting more exercise, wanting to improve your eating habits, maybe getting more sleep, most people start their New Year's resolutions and develop these new habits and want to hit the ground running on January 1st. Starting these new habits on January 1st is what we see heavily promoted in the media, what we see online in terms of social media, what we see on TV, and essentially that's what we've been conditioned to do, but that's not always the best idea. Here's the thing, there's absolutely nothing magical or special about starting a new habit on January 1st. It's not going to be easier to start. Yeah, you may be excited and have an initial boost of motivation, but research shows that most people completely abandon their New Year's resolutions by mid-January. That's just about 2 weeks into the new year. In a study conducted at Scranton University, researchers found that 77% of study participants kept their New Year's resolutions for the first week, but only 19% of them had kept up their resolution and their new behavior 2 years down the line. So it's not uncommon. It's actually more common for people to kind of give up on their new habit, to kind of fall off track and just completely abandon their New Year's resolution pretty soon into January. So you're not alone if this has happened to you. I know that I've set New Year's resolutions in the past and I honestly can't even remember what they were. So starting on January 1st may not be the best idea because most people aren't prepared to make the change come January 1st. Changing your behavior is quite complicated and requires preparation if you're going to be successful in the long term. Have you set a New Year's resolution in the past? Were you successful in keeping it? And do you plan to set one coming up in 2023? Let me know down in the comments. Yes, there's a lot of excitement that happens each time we have a new year coming up. It really does feel like a fresh start for most of us, and you may have a heightened sense of motivation. But here's the thing, changing your behavior, especially if you're wanting to change your behavior long term, motivation simply isn't enough. Excitement come January 1st isn't enough to actually make sustainable change over a long period of time. Making lasting changes is often challenging and complex. There's a lot of factors involved, and it's usually not done overnight for a lot of us. So the idea to think that we're going to go to sleep on December 31st and wake up on January 1st and be kind of this different person who's able to just make all these changes is unrealistic, especially without preparation. An alternative to setting a New Year's resolution, which may be a better approach, would be to start this new habit whenever you're actually prepared. And this preparation is in terms of being mentally prepared, in terms of having your mindset strengthened and having a clear why and a motivation of why you're changing. You've gone through the pros and the cons of making this change, and you're actually prepared practically in terms of having a tangible plan of what exactly you're going to do. You've thought through having a backup plan for when you fall off track. It's completely normal and expected that you will fall off track. So having a backup plan for when those slip ups happen for you to get back on track seamlessly. A lot of us haven't sat down and gone through that preparation and planning before January 1st that would allow us to be successful in making the change in the long term. There's lots of research that's been done to create theories and models that help explain why some people are successful in changing their health behavior and why it's more challenging for others. While there are lots of different models and theories around health behavior change, I'm going to mention the Transtheoretical Model. The Transtheoretical Model says that health behavior change typically happens over the course of 6 different stages. Let's quickly go through the 6 stages of change according to this model. Stage 1 is the pre-contemplation stage, and this is where you're not even thinking about making any type of change to your health behavior in the near future. What you're doing seems perfectly fine and you really have no reason to change. Stage Stage 2 is the contemplation stage, and this is where you're kind of toying with the idea of making a change. At this stage, you may seem conflicted. You do acknowledge that there are several pros and benefits you would get from changing your behavior, but you're also really aware of the cons that would come with it as well. And it's totally normal that most people spend a lot of time in this contemplation stage where you're thinking about making the change, but you're not yet committed. Stage 3 is a preparation stage, and this is where you've decided to make a change, but you don't yet have a plan in place of how you're going to do it. At this stage, you're taking steps to get prepared to make the change. Stage 4 is the action stage, and in this stage, you're actually actively taking action and starting that new habit. Stage 5 is the maintenance phase, and this is where you are in the full swing of doing the behavior, and now you're trying to figure out and navigate how to actually stick with this change in the long term. At this stage, you've been doing your new behavior for at least 6 months, and you're growing in confidence that you can actually maintain this for the long term. Stage 6 is the termination stage. And this stage, the change that you've made seems permanent and more stable for the long term. Newer versions of this model list stage 6 as the relapse stage, which helps acknowledge that the change process is not going to be perfect. It is typical and expected that at some point you will kind of fall off track and need to get back on track. So stage 6 could either be termination or the relapse stage. It's important to remember that changing your health behavior is like making other changes in your life or being successful in other areas of your life. Success is not a linear thing, and neither is changing your health behavior. It's going to happen in more of a cycle where you may advance and fall back into different stages at different points. We need to take the pressure off of feeling like we need to completely change our lives come January 1st. A lot of us may not be actually prepared to change on January 1st, and that's completely okay. We need to normalize making change when it's right and appropriate for us. I wanted to note that this explanation of why most New Year's resolutions fail comes from a blog post written by Amy Morin that's written for Psychology Today. I'll have it linked down below if you want to check it out further. Remember that your fresh start can happen anytime. You decide when you want that to be, not the calendar. In an upcoming video, I'll be sharing tips on how to start healthy habits in 2023 so that you're set up for success in the long term whenever you decide to make that happen. In this video, I talk about how to get back on track with your wellness goals if you've fallen off track, so I think you would enjoy that video in the meantime. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Stay true to you.